Flosstube, this is Lynn with Those Missing Stitches. I'm here with my very first Flosstube ever, and I'm excited to be part of this YouTube community and share everything about my cross-stitching hobby. So a little intro about myself since this is my first Flosstube. I am currently living outside of Sacramento in the Northern California area with my husband of almost 19 years and our son that's 11 and about to go into junior high school next year. I work in finance for a local university in the library, and I have been an avid crafter. You can kind of see behind me. I scrapbook, I cross stitch, I quilt. I do a lot of creative works, and it really started when I was a little kid. My mom was very much into sewing and very into crochet, so there was always an opportunity for yarn and stuff around the house that I could just play with. And I think I first started with plastic canvas. So my mom had some plastic canvas and some plastic needles that she didn't mind me using. I was probably about 8 years old, and there was always yarn sitting around the house. So I would just stitch different patterns on plastic canvas. And eventually, probably around 10 or 11, that grew into actually looking at patterns and making different tissue boxes and coasters and placemats and a lot of different things with different patterns and getting really excited about the hobby. And I think probably my teenage years is when I started to actually get into cross stitch and being able to do smaller stitches with a finer needle and started getting more dimensions kits and things that you could get from local hobby stores or craft stores. And it's really just grown from there. So it's been, probably over 30 years that I've been doing cross stitching, and just really in the last maybe 2 years, I started to find the community on Facebook and on YouTube and really looking at all this abundance of information that's out there, an abundance of patterns and fabrics and all these different things that I'd never experienced because I'd always just done kits that you could find at the big box stores. And it was just, as Cam the Stitcher would say, that's when I went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I really just wanted all the things at that point. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to try everything. I wanted to start everything. And I've kind of dialed that back and learned a little bit about myself and what I like and what I don't like. There's definitely a progression for me as a stitcher as I started to learn more and as I started to get more comfortable. And actually, one of the main things was getting new glasses that I could see a little better on. So I'm going to go through my current works in progress and the stuff that I actually worked on in March. I think in the future I'll probably do a full work in progress parade and maybe a full kit parade for all the things that I've actually purchased as far as kits and maybe haven't started. There's a ton that I've started, and in the 30 plus years that I've been doing cross stitching, I've only ever finished two. And I guess that's probably an accomplishment because I know a lot of people don't finish any, and that's fine. I'm learning that I'm, a process stitcher and I enjoy the process of stitching, and I do enjoy seeing progress, but I'm not necessarily disheartened by not being able to finish anything. So I'm hoping on some of my current works in progress that I'm able to actually get them finished. So I have all of my stuff that I worked on in March ready to show you. And the first one is going to be the Grand Library. This is, I'll go ahead and put the picture up here. This is the regular size max color version of the Grand Library by Amy Stewart. It's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I started this on 18 count Easy Guide Ada 2/1 full cross, and I started it almost as soon as it came out. As I said, I work in a library at a university. I had just started that job in that department maybe 2 months before the pattern came out, and I just couldn't wait. I love Amy Stewart's work, but this one specifically spoke to me because I'm totally a bibliophile. I love books, and I work in a library, so it helps. And I plan to actually frame this and put this in my office at the library once I actually have it finished. So let me show you, and it's huge because it's 18 count. Even though it's the regular size pattern, it's still really big. So for the month of March, I worked on it a total of 24 days. I did 10,606 stitches, which is actually one of my lower months in the last year or so that I've been working on, or a little less than a year. It'll be a year at the end of this month. It's one of my lower months, but my total progress so far since I started this last April is or 146,758 stitches out of the 402,750 total. So I'm at 36.44%. And I think I'm going to have to stand up to show this. What I worked on in March was, and I'm going page by, or 2 pages at a time. So what I worked on was this western section here was like the bottom of this shelf, and then the top of the western section to the end. So let me show you the whole thing. Back up a little bit. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to back up a lot. So this is 36.44%. I still have a long ways to go. I think my next, so I'm heading back to the left-hand side and wanting to probably work downwards after this because I'm getting a little, there was a lot of brown and orange and red between the fireplace and the western area. So I kind of want to work down towards the romance section and the blue section at the bottom for the mystery. But it's coming out so cool, even though it's huge and it's going to be really expensive to frame it. I'm really excited to get this done. I'm really happy with how it's coming out. I'm a little frustrated with Max Colors, but with all the confetti, but I think it's coming out so gorgeous. It's like, it's proving worth it. Even like looking at the western section in here and seeing some of the books and how the detail is coming out on some of these books and in between the books, it's just awesome. Okay, so that's the Grand Library. Let me put that away and sit back down. Okay. All right, so my next whip is a stitching shelf, which is also by Amy Stewart and charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This one is actually a restart for me. So I started it originally in December of 2022 on 25 count, and I was doing 2/110 stitch and got about 9,000 stitches in. I actually probably got about 4,000 stitches in and just really wasn't happy with 2/1 coverage. I don't like seeing the fabric through it, and everybody kept saying like stand far back and don't worry, it's gonna, the thread will spread out once you wash it. But I really wasn't happy, so I tried 3/1 10 stitch and it just looked a little too weird, and I still wasn't happy with the areas that were 2/1. So I decided to restart it. I ended up restarting on 28 count Easy Guide Lugana 2/110 on January 14th. I actually only worked on it one day in March, so I didn't really get a lot of progress in March. I only did 297 stitches, but my total so far, since I started in January, was 17,380 stitches for, and this is out of the total of 375,500 for 4.63%. So that is the areas that I've completed. I tend to do more cross country over the two, whatever fits in the Q-snap. So there's still a handful of stitches really in every area that I need to fill in because there's confetti in certain colors. This is the regular size, regular colors. I think I learned on the Grand Library that I'll probably never do a max color again. I think it's worth it on the Grand Library, but it irritates me when I'm working on it. So I think I've just learned I want to enjoy the process a little more. Just go with the regular colors. It's still really beautiful. It turns out fine. Just appreciate the process more. So speaking of that, my next one is also a Heaven and Earth Designs. This is A Farewell to Anger by Leonid Afremov. I'll put the pattern up there. This is another one that I restarted. I originally started it, and this is the regular size, regular color as well. I originally started in May of 2022 on 18 count, 2/1 full cross before I got my new glasses and could actually see on a smaller count. Got about 6,000 stitches in that one and realized this is just too big and I'm not really enjoying doing full cross anymore on full coverage pieces. So I restarted this on 28 count Easy Guide Lugana 2/110 on February 25th. I worked on this in March for 3 days for 1,689 stitches. My total so far that I've done on this is 4,201 out of the 257,500 total. So I'm only at 1.63% on this one. But I really enjoy this because there's more blocks of color. Even though there is some confetti, there's more blocks. So when I get, needing a break from the grand library or stitching shelf that has a lot more confetti heavy and want something a little more blocked, I'll work on that one. My next kit, I think, is my last one from Heaven and Earth Designs. This one's actually Gentle Breeze London by Isabella Karlowitz. I'll put the pattern up. This is what the final piece will look like. This one I actually started on the day it came out on January 2nd, 2023 on 25 count Easy Guide Lugana 2/110. And I figured because it's so many like neutral colors, it'd be fine on 25 count if there is a little fabric showing through because it's already so light. So in March, I actually only worked on it for 2 days. And the total I've done on this is 2,390 out of the 296,875. So not far at all, only 0.81%. But when I need some more neutrals instead of all the bold colors, I tend to go to this one. I'm really excited to get into it's really a lot darker than I thought up in here. So I'm excited to get into some of the lighter colors and some of the pink for sure. Okay. Now we're moving on to my other pieces that are not Heaven and Earth Designs. This one is Fruits of Plenty, which was the Modern Folk Embroidery Stitch Along. I'll go ahead and put the final product of what it should look like up here. This is another restart for me. This is the very first pattern I bought when I found all of the online resources and was looking at what other people were doing. This one really spoke to me and I really wanted to start it. And it was before I even knew about other fabric counts and what they meant and how they meant different sizes. I started it, I think, on 14 count. Got a pretty good weigh in. I think I was about 25%, but I realized I don't like 14 count anymore, even without my new glasses. It's just too big for me and I didn't like seeing the hole so big. But I really still like this pattern. So I restarted it on January 14th and I used 25 count Silvery Moon Lugana, 1/1 full cross. In March, I worked on it for 5 days and that is a total of 2,574 stitches in March. And in total, since I started it, 5,112 of the 47,397. I'm at 10.79%. I'm using the recommended DMC floss. I love working on this one. It's really nice. I love seeing the little pieces. I did a little bit of this section last night, and I just love seeing little sections emerge in different patterns. It reminds me a lot of my plastic canvas days and seeing some of those patterns emerge pretty quickly. So I love working on that one. My next one is one that I started in February. It's called Kingdom of Books by Andriana. I purchased it from Charting Creations as a kit. I'll go ahead and put up the final picture of what it should look like. I started this one on 18 count Nutmeg from My Vintage Needle Arts on Etsy. I'm doing 2/1 full cross. And I did 957 stitches for a total of 2,430 out of the 68,640 for 3.54%. So this is really cool seeing these books come to life. And I'm planning to, the pattern has all of the book titles in Russian. So I've made a list of my favorite books and I plan to change some of the titles or all of the titles to my top, I think it's 13 or 14 books that are my favorite. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm excited for that one to go in my office at the library too, if I ever get it done. My next one is, this is called The Perfect Love I Never Had by Adrienne Borda. It's charted by Unconventional Cross Stitch. I'll go ahead and put the picture up there. This one I started in October and I'm doing it on 18 count Easy Guide Ada. I love this pattern, but I'm really not sure I want to continue on the 18 count. So I may restart this on 25 or 28. But I did work on it a couple of days in March. I did 324 additional stitches just to see if I still want to do it on 18 count. My total, I am pretty far on this. I'm 14%, but I feel like it's a little big and I'm not in, again, full coverage, not enjoying the cross stitch as much as I used to. So I might restart it as a 10 stitch, but I love this pattern. I love how the eye came out. It's just so pretty. And I really do want to finish this at some point, but maybe on a different count. So we'll see. Then my next one is another Adrian Borda is the artist on this one as well. It's called The Night We Broke the Moon. It's charted by Unconventional Cross Stitch as well. This one I did start on 28 count Easy Guide Lugana 2/110 stitch. And this is my progress. I have a total of 1,788 of the 194,000 stitches for 0.92. Not much, but it's definitely one I can work on when I feel like I just want to do chunks of the same color and don't want to have to switch colors. I originally started working on it in like a Royal Rose method and trying to do some of this like waist thread stuff, and I it's not my thing. I need to go back to more of a cross country. So my last one that I want to share that I actually worked on in March is a March New Start. And I'll go ahead and put the pattern up. It's called Night Circus Lovely No. 7 by Jessica Jackson, and it's charted by the Sewing Shop Inc. This one I did start on 25 count Easy Guide Lugana, but I'm doing 3/110. Did a lot of research on this before I started it, just to give it a try. It's definitely not the popular opinion, but there are some people that do 3/110 on 25 and they don't find it too bulky. They love the coverage. So I thought I'd give it a try, and I really like it. It's not quite as small as 28, so it's a little easier to see, and I feel like I'll be okay with the bulk, so we'll see. But as soon as I saw this pattern, I wanted to start it, and I'm really happy I did. It's one that I'm back to my roots of how I used to work all my kits in extreme cross country. I'm just working the black right now and might go color by color on this one. So here is my progress so far. I've just worked the 310, and I just started this in March. So this is just 11 days of working on it. I've done 10,757 stitches out of the 159,200 total for 6.76%. So this one's going super fast, and I love it. I love how it's coming out. I love seeing her face, and super excited to see the progress on that one and how that comes out. Okay, so that is actually the last of what I worked on in March. I definitely have a lot more whips, just not necessarily in my active rotation. Another thing I wanted to share was some new patterns that I picked up in March. So this is Charting Creations. They released Window in the Springtime, Reading Nook, and of course, again, library and books, and I'm a sucker for those. And I love all the lilacs and the purples in there. I don't know if I can work on 3 different book patterns at one time, so this might go on the back shelf for a little bit, but I love all that lilac. I love that purple. One of my favorite colors. It was my wedding color too, that lavender color, so I'm excited to start that one eventually. Another pattern I picked up was Ink Circles, Cirque de Caru, and I'm probably saying that wrong, but it's another sampler piece. I saw Lost in Stitches who's on YouTube is doing this pattern in a Valdani pearl cotton thread, which is just really pretty, and she was saying it's really silky and shiny and coming out really beautiful, so I might try that thread for those. Then another one I picked up, I'm debating about. My son's teacher has a Harry Potter themed classroom, and she's been really awesome. She's been on maternity leave since Thanksgiving, but she's coming back before the end of the year. And I really want to get her a nice gift for how much she's done for my son this year and how much she's kept us in the loop. And I saw this pattern and thought it would be really cool for her, especially since she has typically between 25 to 30 students. And this might not necessarily be have to be Advent related, but maybe something related to the kids. I don't even know what it's called. I got it on Etsy. I think it's called like Magic Advent, and I got it from Thousands 1000s Patterns on Etsy. It's only about 8,500 stitches. So, but my debate is school's out in 2 months. So I don't know if I could finish it in 2 months, but I may give it a shot. I think it's really cute, and I love Harry Potter. Again, books and the movies. So we'll see. But I did pick up the pattern. Even I may do it someday, even if I don't do it for the teacher. So we'll see. So I wanted to thank you for joining me for my first floss tube. Hopefully you like it, even though my stumbling. Feel free to leave me any comments if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions for things you'd like to see me go over in the future. For any planning for my future videos. If you do like this video, I'd appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up and you subscribe. And I hope to see you on the next time. Bye.